Hello and welcome back to WCS Challenger, where we're about to do our second and final qualifying match for Montreal in Oceania and Southeast Asia. It's a TVP, excuse me, almost said ZVP and then Roach versus Protoss. I don't know what my brain's doing right now, but it's going to be Seither versus Probe, and this is probably going to be a good one. They had a fantastic match before, series of the day, in fact, in the upper bracket, and now they're meeting again. Pig and Maynard are gonna bring you this one. It's gonna be hype. Pig,
that's right.
Pig, talk to me. What's going through your mind right now?
I mean, Dreamcatcher is going to be the first map, and we didn't see that in their first series, so my mind's just racing here, strategically thinking, what do you change as Probe? You went down in the previous series. We saw some wild games, as you said, a series of the tournament, but what do you change as Probe? I wish I had an insight into what he's been practicing, because there's always what seems like a good choice, but then there's what do you actually have in your playbook. As a player, there's only so many strategies you have that you're good at executing at any one time. Can Probe pull out something like a straight up, Robo Prism opening or something like that with a fast drop? Can he go one of these disruptive blink styles we've seen a lot? It seems like he's very focused on Blink Stalker off the back of Oracles. And I think he's going to stay with that style, and I think that's okay. But he's just got to get a little bit better at keeping an eye on what Seither's up to, spotting Banshee, seeing what he's up to, and defending those mid-game pushes on his third base, where Seither's usually been gaining a big edge.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm just keen to see these players face off again and see if they have anything different. I don't think either of them are hiding anything else here. I mean, obviously, I think if anyone is going to hide something, it is going to be Seither. He probably has something a little bit more Hut-y up his sleeve, because they are teammates, and there are a few things that Hut likes to do against Protoss every now and then in a series that Seither could potentially whip out here. But Probe is showing that he very much has a comfortable style against Terrans, that he's clearly, more inclined to play. Will he get weird? I mean, maybe, but I doubt it. And I mean, honestly, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. A lot of these games were very, very close, and he could have easily won those last two games. Well, I mean, he did win one of them, but he could have won the third one as well.
Absolutely. So we are going to be launching into this series to see which player is going to be making it through to WCS Montreal, the second and final spot up for grabs. And of course, this player is hungry for it. Up here in the top left, the blue Terran representing SYF Gaming. He is Seither.
Well spotted, Pig. A nice buy with my little eye in the bottom right here of Dreamcatcher. Is that Legacy ANZ's Probe? I think it is. Let's have to get a closer look. Yes, definitely. That is definitely his Nexus. Could not pull a fast one on me there. I know Probe when I see him.
He's got the signature probes mining next to the Nexus as well.
Yeah, his probes are the most probes.
The probiest of probes here on Dreamcatcher, where we've seen some weird matches on this map, just due to the architecture of it. It takes a very little amount of time to get across the map, but we saw the probe there just walk through tiny choke points, tall grass. There's those destructible rocks there that can be taken down to actually cut the path off. It creates some odd situations on this map, and not just that, there are gold bases in the top right corner of this map. There's 2 gold expansions, so in some very wild scenarios, we see players opt for those as well.
Yeah, there are a few players that like to do those, hidden YOLO bases, but I feel like it's a little bit easy to punish in TVP specifically. Like, you got medevac drops for Terran. Protoss can actually just, prism some stuff over there, or even walk on over there and then recall out if they need to. It doesn't take too many Protoss units to make a base go away if it's all the way in the middle of nowhere, because it's not like you can rally units out there to defend it.
Exactly.
And Seither is going to go for that low ground CC without too much trouble. Doesn't lose that SCV. And it's pretty regular build from both players here. And Seither sees that with the SCV that there is a Nexus and a pylon on the low ground. I feel like Dreamcatcher is one of these maps just because of the features of it. Terrans that like their siege tanks in this matchup, which Seither is, are going to have a really good time. There's a lot of really good siege tank push locations here on this map. I feel like a bit of a broken record whenever I bring up a Terran on Dreamcatcher, but it's worth bringing up because of the way the map is laid out.
Choke point heaven, absolutely. But there are a lot of avenues for counterattacks, flanks, and these sort of things. So absolutely a positional map. Where you place your units, where you stage your pushes from, very important. This probe going to try to sneak in, does not get any information on what's going to be coming out. And Once again, Stargate down here for Probe. Loves that Oracle path. This time, though, is going to send the first Stalker straight across the map. Hasn't even started the second one until just now. So this Reaper that's kind of dodged around the side is going to dodge that Stalker. Might be able to get in and get a few Probe kills, but no. Probe on top of it. Comes home with that Stalker just in time to catch it. Gets the intercept. And Seither's going to back off. But back on Seither's side of the map, we've got some Burrow Boys on the way. A couple of cheeky Widow Mines.
Yeah, the Widow Mines here. It's a nice opening for Terran to get a couple of them out. So, like, even just getting one out of your factory is going to help you out a lot against those oracles. Obviously, you need to have both Widow Mines covered, both mineral lines covered, I should say. So, Widow Mine, one or two, or a ball of Marines, one or the other, are just fine against these oracles. And if you're a real ballsy Terran, well, you just have a Widow Mine sitting in the middle of nowhere. Just manages to catch oracles every time.
Looking for that Oracle rotation, of course. And a third Widow Mine on the way as well. So I think we are going to be seeing a lot of these Widow Mines really wanting to catch those Oracles. I think that's kind of the adjustment here, knowing there's going to be 2 to 3 of them built by probes. Is like, if I just put these everywhere, there's a great chance I get it. But the first Oracle is coming through straight towards that main base. Would love to get a scout off. It's going to see a couple of things. Look how careful that is. Probe is so paranoid about losing this Oracle. Every game he's so conservative with it.
He sees the Banshee, gets cancelled there by Seither and turned into a Liberator. So another fake cloak here. It's a second Terran today I've seen do that.
Yeah, so he was gonna go for it, right? But then because it got spotted, he gets it. So if that Oracle flies into a Widow Mine, 100% he gets that Banshee out because it's not going to be spotted until much later. But as it is being spotted, he says, we just get a Liberator, sneak that over to the other side of the map. I know Probe goes for 3 Oracles. He doesn't go into Phoenix straight away, so there's no anti-air out just yet. Yeah. And that third Nexus goes down as well for Probe. So Probe has got a nice, smooth build-up. Next on the order for him will be a Twilight Council and a Forge that goes down right now. And that's Probe's build. 3 Oracles, a Phoenix, a couple of Stalkers. Blink will be next up. Really nice play. And once again, Seither here really delaying his extra barracks, just going 3rd command center, tanks, Ravens, Marines. Very defensive play. Seither's going to have to turtle up for quite a while.
Yeah, Probe's just super regular here. Textbook Probe. He actually, funny thing is, before that 3rd Oracle, he was going to make a Phoenix, but then he actually canceled it and decided to go for that 3rd Oracle in the end. Just keeping an eye to see what what his reaction was to that, what he would have assumed was a Banshee. As we know, it's a Liberator, and Stalkers do all right against Liberators here as long as they're in position. But of course, the Twilight Council's just finished, so it is.
Oh, sorry. I thought the Liberator just missed there. It almost flew right through the Stalkers. My bad. It's all good. Just cutting in for no reason there, Maynard. Just being a nice,
cool.
nice.
Just being a good caster.
Just for you.
Oh, thanks, man. You're a peach. Oopsie daisies. Feels bad, man.
Widow Mines!
Oh. I can't react to that one. You can see the little, for you guys at home, obviously it's super obvious where the Widow Mines are, but as a Protoss player, if you don't play the game and you only watch it, there is like a little bit of a dark spot where the Widow Mine is. Yeah, so if you're super observant, you can see it.
It's very hard to spot though when you are, especially if you're not watching the Oracle, but these players, of course, realize players are sometimes putting those Widow Mines around. Going to get a nice cheeky Zealot kill over there. And that does delay Probe seeing that 3rd command center floating down to the low ground. So big explosion into 5 barracks play here. See, they're not getting so aggressive this time around. And Probe, I think he's got a good handle of what's going on. 3rd base fully saturated. Blink is on the way. Double upgrades are going to be starting up now. So Probe looking super comfortable in this game.
And I'm loving that he's going double Forge. I think a couple of the reasons why Probe had a bit of a dicey mid-game in Game 2 and 3 against Seither last time they faced off was because he only had 1 Forge spinning 1 upgrade at a time. And the Terran ended up with an upgrade lead and winning a lot of the fights. But with Protoss, if you're chrono boosting out 2 upgrades at once and your opponent's only getting 1 at a time, and that's a lot more comfortable for the Protoss. You show up with a bunch of charge lots of the 3-3 upgrade against the 2-2 Terran, and it's going to be a good time for the Protoss.
Absolutely. Seither now does have that 3rd base fully saturated. He's got his own upgrades starting to work their way forwards little bit by little bit. And I really wonder what the next step is because we see Mines on the way. Mines, Medevacs. I mean, I think it's going to be like a Liberator transition from here. I think he's going to play that more mobile style. Doesn't want to play that heavy siege tank style. Just a few tanks early for the defense. Doesn't want to make your dreams of 14 siege tanks sieged up in front of a choke point on Dreamcatcher come true, Maynard.
That's right. I mean, it's completely fine, dude. The thing that I mentioned is like charge lots are basically the bane of Bio along with Storm. But you get yourself a whole bunch of Widow Mines, and then that can change the balance of things a little bit. You can erase those charge lots, and then you got a Protoss that's left with Sentries and Stalkers against your, plus your upgraded Bio. And wow, these are some quick ghosts here from Seither, by the way. He's getting them very early. He hasn't even seen the Templar Archives at all. He's still getting them.
I feel like Colossi is really good against this. You'd want libs or tanks or something against the Colossi instead. But there is a Raven out. And if that Raven lands lockdowns on big units like Immortals and Colossi, they just become useless. And already, actually, Seither's pushing now? I thought he was going to wait a bit longer. He's not giving much time to Probe at all. Probe's charge is finishing up soon, but he doesn't have a lot of Zealots. He's trying to go into Disruptors, but they're not out just yet. They're only just beginning.
Force field slowing down Seither a little bit here, and Probe definitely needs more time. He needs another warp into charge lots, and he needs to get those disruptors down at this third base to make this a little bit easier. And this Observer can be picked up by the Raven. He didn't need to scan there, but he's just looking ahead to make sure where the Protoss army is. Also sees that stasis ward as well. He's going for an armor seeker missile there on the charge lots, and they've had their armor shredded here, so does Seither have enough to punch through here?
That shredder was absolutely monstrous. Oh, Probe getting caught before he got his transition down. Now the disruptors are out, but the tanks are already here.
Adepts? He's starting to get adepts here, I guess, because he wants to go heavier on the disruptor. If you have adepts, and they're not going to take that splash damage from the purification over, whereas the charge lots will.
Oh, Widow Mine's getting some big connections, though. This is a very costly hold for Probe, but he keeps the third alive, does have disruptors coming out, so maybe... Oh, it uses both disruptor shots. There's no more on cooldown. Even just this little squad of Marauders comes in, gets the punish down, and this push is still going. There's actually even a siege tank in the medevac that can redrop. The libs starting to get out of control here. The Widow Mine's cleaning up the Zealots, and I think that might just be a little bit too much. Terran's so scrappy on both sides. Probe desperately trying to hang onto this base. He's making sentries right now. Wants to use some force fields to try and trap this army, but that's a lot of gas on units that don't do damage.
Certainly is. Would have preferred to see some charge lots here from Probe, but he's going to collapse onto this tank, and he does take it out. The Bio is still a massive threat. Like you mentioned, these tickle beam sentries here don't have the greatest fighting power. Somehow, some way, though, he hasn't lost any probes or a Nexus for this push from Seither, and he trades the army out. Keep in mind that both players got 2-2 on the back of this, so that was definitely not an all-in. It was just a very dedicated pressure there from Seither. And both players are just licking their wounds after that little bit of a scuffle, with both of them seeming to be still quite powerful.
Seither's playing very momentum focused as well. No fusion core on the way despite the big gas bank. And even though he's going up to a fourth base, he's going double reacted starport. So it's going to be mass unupgraded unupgraded liberators and medevacs supporting the Bio. But this is a style which doesn't have the same siege strength of the range liberators. So it's going to be much more about kind of catching the Protoss out of position. I think Colossi Disruptors do very well versus this. So if Probe can stabilize, I mean, he's already got a 73 probe economy, just really looking confident in this game. He's got Zealots everywhere. Look at the map vision for Probe. It's just insane.
I love it, because Seither loves dropping, and that was part of the reason why he lasted so long when they fought on Lost and Found. And these Zealot spotting everywhere can obviously potentially catch those medevacs, and even just sending one in to see that planetary timing of Seither, that fourth base, a little bit later than Probe's, or a fair bit later than Probe's fourth, but it is down nonetheless, and that's going to give Terran plenty of economy to get towards maxing out, getting those 3-3 upgrades. And I'm really, really wanting to see a fusion core here from Seither. I think missing advanced ballistics at this point is a mistake, considering how many liberators he's getting.
Yeah, I got to agree with that one, Maynard. We do see ship plating on the way, which will help out the medevacs and the liberators with their survivability. 2-2 upgrades done for both sides. So upgrades are tied, and a few more Colossi are starting to rally out here, but they're not on the field yet. The Disruptors, though, are so scary aggressively, especially, as we said, because these liberators do not have that siege power to outrange them. The Stalkers, the Colossi here, looking to jump on this army when it's on siege. Is he going to go for it? I think Probe's just going to dive. Nope, does just take the efficient trade. Disruptors from afar, picking away at this Terran army. An amazing trade for the Protoss.
Yeah, that was really nice there. Like, yeah, I think he lost the Disruptor, but that's not the biggest of deals. He kills the Liberators, 150 minerals, 150 gas, and he kills a bunch of the Bio as well. Each one of those Marauders, 100 minerals. Very, very good trade. Looks like Seither skidding into that natural to try and pick off Probe, but he's already there with some units. Seither deflected. Oh, just escapes with that medevac.
Oh, he's going to dive. The Liberator's going down. Disruptors throwing out their Disruption Novas all over the place.
Whoa.
Purification Novas everywhere. And the Terran is being cleansed from this map. Seither, he's got nothing left. A couple of Liberators, a few Marines and Marauders. There's next to nothing. The Protoss army is intact. There's so many Force Fields and Guardian Shields. And now the Disruptors can siege this base down.
They certainly can, and every Nova is doing damage here for Probe. He's hitting SCVs, he's chipping off of that Marauder count, and it's so easy for him to trade with those Disruptors now. He has all the splash damage, he even has sentries left over to force field if things get dicey. He has complete control over this game. Seither does have some Vikings out, but Probe still has Stalkers alive, and he can warp in and bolster those forces. In fact, he's getting another 6 as I say that to help him out against these Liberators. The Stalkers are pretty much his Liberator countermeasure, and he has still so many.
27 Blink Stalkers out of the map. 3-3 as well on the way for both players. But upgrades aren't important right now. It's tech that is way more important for Seither here. Whether in the form of ranged Liberators or Ghosts, there needs to be something to deal with this army, and I think the Liberator count is just lacking. There's only 4 out. There's a few Vikings in the sky. They'll deal with the Colossi, but they will not deal with the Disruptors.
Probe wants to commit here, engaging Guardian Shield. Those Blink the Stalkers ready for those Liberators, and the Purification Notice hitting the Bio as it tries to get into the Stalker count, and Probe is just going to roll through Seither here in game 1. GG. Strong start for the Protoss.
Impressive play, man. I thought he was broken,
Most
honestly.
impressive.
That push on the third base, I was like, ooh, I think Probe's dead. Just great macro into one big strong push, but I definitely think Seither overextended there at some point. You know, it felt like Seither was maybe just a little bit too focused on trying to finish the game right at that moment. And despite inflicting some good damage, didn't have the follow through for it, didn't have any sort of late game tech to deal with the Disruptors. Maybe a little bit too focused on the Ghosts, expecting Storm tech, of course, out of Probe. But in the end, Probe there, man. Oh, the Disruptor play was just brilliant. As soon as the Liberators unsieged, when he jumped forward, and he took out like half the Bio army when it tried to move forward to defend the Liberators from the Stalkers that came in.
Yeah, that was huge. Also, you know, when he was attacking into Probe's third base, there was a 4th to the south that seemed pretty free for Seither to pick off, which would have been guaranteed damage, but he didn't want to go home with a consolation prize. He didn't want the Nexus to be taken out. He wanted to actually trade with Probe's army and do serious damage to kill a bunch of Probes. And just take the low ground away from Probe. But also there's a chance that he didn't see the Force Nexus. There's also that. I think he definitely saw it at one point, but maybe when he first came in, he just had his sights set on that third.
Nonetheless, Probe does take that first map here. So it is going to be a tense situation now for Seither, as Probe has had the chance to get the bit of revenge. Of course, this is the losers final. It is a best of 5, so it isn't just one game away. 2 more wins for Probe to close it out. 3 for Seither. And the winner will be going through to WCS Montreal.
All right. Let's get into it, my friends. Lost and Found. Last time these guys faced off in Lost and Found, it was an epic game. It was my game of the weekend. I loved it. Let's see if this one can marry up as well. On the top right here, currently down the series, but more than willing to fight back. This is SYF Seither.
And down here in the bottom left, looking much more in control of that previous game, the Red Protoss from Legacy ANZ. Here's Probe.
He's signing to good luck, have fun now.
Yeah, I mean, he waits till he's winning before he dances the Immortals. May not. That's the build order.
Yeah. Well, he was winning against me and Micah, and did good luck, have fun.
Well,
maybe he just doesn't like Zergs at the moment.
If you look at the history between the two, Mio has beaten Probe many times. Even when Probe has been considered the big favorite, we've seen Mio and Micah take him down so many times. So definitely think there might be a bit of a rivalry there. Don't know if it necessarily goes through to the levels of bad blood or anything, but definitely frustrations on both sides, I'm sure, with the results in that matchup between those two. But these two, a little bit friendlier. depending on how the hashtag balance stands at the time.
Yeah, hashtag balance, very, very important to discuss. Probe's doing his thing here, nailing on that SCV. Seither isn't the kind of guy to take damage, though. This isn't a Maynard ladder game where I'll lose 2 SCVs to a single probe. This is just a competent Terran. Well, he'll manage to get that low ground CC easy peasy off the Reaper expand.
And this is just going to be the Nexus opening once again. I honestly don't think Probe's going to change things up at all. My eyes are much more on Seither here for what the follow-up is, how that varies, right? That last game, definitely not as aggressive. And it's, I think the first time where we felt like Seither hasn't really been in a good spot, or an amazing spot anyway in the mid-game, right? He still did good with his push, but I feel like the other ones, he was doing a lot of 3 racks aggression earlier today. Whether it was off the back of Banshees or anything else. And that was really putting the hurt on Probe. Probe was struggling to deal with it. So I'm curious to see the stick with his 3 command center style, where he pushes later with a bigger army like in that last map. Or does he go back to what worked for him earlier in the day and just push across with a big 2-base army?
We'll have to wait and see. You've got a Stalker opening here from Probe. No surprises there, but we've seen the Stargate go down this time, and that Reaper actually scouted it as well. So that's important information here for Seither. Probe going for the tried and true Stargate opening.
Yeah, the Reaper can get a little bit of healing down, but I don't think it's going to get out of there. Probe's micro too good. Just barely escapes from that Stalker. But the Probe gets in and spots the factory at the same time, so well done. Probe gets a heads up on exactly what's going on.
Yeah, he's going to know that the Hellions are on the way here. The power of these Hellions we saw on Acid Plant at the beginning of the game between Probe and Seither, where the Hellions run on in there and the Probes just evaporate. They do so much damage to the Probe line.
This is actually
even confirming.
Because he's proxied his starport. That was a starport, a fake starport, because Probe was in there, and that was so big because this is a huge tell that there's a proxy starport for a Hellion drop coming down, because you've seen Hellions come out, not Cyclones. So you've got to say as the Protoss, wait a second, the only reason you wouldn't be building a starport right now is if you spent all your gas on Cyclones, but that's 2 Hellions that popped out. So Seither there in, I think what is rather a lame attempt at selling the story, has said, I'm going to build a starport in your face and then cancel it as soon as the Probe's dead. I don't know. Has he taken the bait? He might have. Well,
he's not showing signs of being ready for it, does he? Like, he hasn't got Stalkers waiting on the edge of that main.
I don't think he's made the read at all, actually. I think you're right, Maynard. That drop could do massive damage. There's a black spot in the main there. There's no vision there. Yes, there's an Oracle entering Seither's main, but he's got to be worried about this. Look, the Reaper's distracting. The Hellions on low. This could be game-ending damage. The probe pull is very, very quick. There's even a probe on hold position between the pylons, stopping the Hellions from pursuing there. Ooh, so far, dealing with it very well.
He's lost 6, but he can lose a few probes here and still be okay. These ones are in range of the shield battery, so it's a little bit easier for Probe to defend there. The Oracles are coming home, and these Hellions looking like they're going to be deflected for the most part. Probe actually, all things considered, a very nice hold.
Yeah, and Probe just goes and takes a 3rd base. No sweat off his back. He's just completely chilled right now. Very, very good defense since he had no warning of that. I think when he came in and saw the starport wasn't there with the Oracle, it kind of immediately clicked in his head what was going on. So he had a couple of seconds warning, and that couple of seconds definitely did make the difference. Back at home, 3rd CC on the way, Engineering Bay. Seither is once again going to have to just turtle up in the follow-up to this. He's trying to sneak a drop across the map. There is a Phoenix and some Oracles out. They're coming back right now. At the same time, a few Cyclones. Going to try and snipe the 3rd base. Ooh, very cute follow-up by Seither.
Now, there are some Oracles still on the field. It looks like they're coming down from the bottom right here. They can help out against these Cyclones here with the Stalkers as well. The anti-air of the Cyclone, not too impressive. Oh, I love this. The 2 Hellions from earlier, they're back, baby, and they're in that mineral line. 2 more probes going down here, trying to go for a 3rd. The Oracle's going to defend here. Looks like the Stalkers are a little bit thin of a defense of that 3rd Nexus, though. Seither could still get this canceled.
Oh, massive slip up there. I thought Probe was handling it perfectly, and he was. But then those Stalkers not being in position to damage those Cyclones, the cancel on the 3rd does give Seither a bit of damage, and he needed it. He needed that damage. If that 3rd was able to go up, Probe was going to get way ahead in this game. But now here we go. Cyclone's going to shoo those Oracles out of there. Revelation goes down to counter that. Cyclones and Mines going to help keep Seither safe for the next few minutes, but the barracks count only now starting to explode. So He's got to be very defensive, got to be very careful for a while, and it seems like the exact same build as last game, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the same sort of push. The only difference is there won't be a Raven in the mix.
Yeah, which is a a pretty big deal. The Raven, not only mobile detection, taking out observers, also has the very ability to armor shred those gateway units, which was such a huge part of the initial push for Seither in game number 1. And also, if your Protoss opponent is rushing for Colossus with double forge or something like that, you can just lock that bad boy down. Untimely SCV transfer there. 2 of them die, and it looks like the Oracle's going to escape again.
Stay.
Oh, Stasis Ward.
Very nice. With no Raven, yeah, the stasis traps could come back in a big way. We saw them feature so strongly in the first couple of games of the series between Seither and Probe, so definitely something quite good. What did the Widowmine get? Was it just a sentry, or?
It got a Stalker.
Ah, not bad.
I think it was a Stalker there it got.
Not bad at all.
Not bad. The anti-air here of, as I say, we've got to bring the Cyclones back just in case the Oracles want to dive there. Potentially pick off the Marines and maybe the tank as a result.
I thought they were going to get out of there as well. They were like so close to getting away, and then the tag landed to hit them as well. So it was like, oh, okay, no secrets in this game. Protoss sees everything, buddy. It's going to start pushing now already with this kind of hodgepodge little force. I think Probe's well set up to defend this. Blinken +1 are finishing in about 10-15 seconds. Probe might have to take the fight just before that, but the tanks aren't siege. The Oracles go in, the Phoenix lift the siege tanks. The Guardian Shield stopping so much of the damage from this Terran force.
So much Probe here. He just completely decimates this push of Seither. Seither moving out while completely revelated by the Oracles. Yeah. Gets caught with his pants down here. Like, it was a very bold maneuver to push like that with a hodgepodge army while being detected by the Protoss, and he's getting punished hard for it.
Yeah, this is one of those pushes that could work out sometimes when the Protoss is being super greedy, but Probe was not. Probe actually had plenty of Stalkers. The upgrades timed out, and Seither, they're losing a lot of those important units. Now suddenly as Seither, you're knocked back to square zero, and if there's one thing we've seen that's a problem for Seither at this stage is he's very good with his ghost control, but he's struggled against robotics. Thankfully for him, it is going to be Templar Archives from Probe this time around. But I really wonder, what is Seither's follow-up going to be? Is it the 6th and 7th barracks that he's been favoring here? Is he going to go the double reactor starport? I'd love to see range liberators or ghosts come out immediately, because the longer this goes, with Probe having full control over the map, the harder it's going to be for Seither to push out eventually, unless he has the exact right tools for the situation.
One thing I'm not loving about Probe is he's on that single forge again. I just feel like double forge is so much more powerful if you want to go into the later stages of the game, or even into the mid game. It's just so much more powerful for Protoss to do. Oh, you are getting your luck here, Pig. We're getting that fusion core going down, so range liberators are going to be on the way here. I mean, if you make a battle cruiser, then I'll just leave and you can solo cast, but I'm pretty sure this is range liberators, and that's going to be a great addition for this composition here. Going to help him out a lot against what Probe's going for, which is going to be Charge Lot and High Templar again.
Nice little slowdown on the command center on the south side with a Zealot at the same time. We don't mind trades for a Stalker, not bad. Oracle's still seeing literally everything that's going on. And we see Probe here just with this map control. Zealot spotters all over. The Zealot counter on the north. The 4th base is up for Probe. Upgrade-wise, both players are tied neck and neck. And with the 2nd Forge about to kick in, give it a few minutes, Probe should be ahead on those upgrades. But for now, very Zealot Storm focused. Tons of High Templar, actually. 6 already out. And,
and that's going to be great for him against this bio. And the difference between Seither earlier in his previous series and also in the earlier of this series is that he's not getting any ghosts. There are no ghosts here. So the High Templar are potentially very, very powerful against Seither.
Yeah, this is libs can take the place of ghosts for sure in certain engagements, but I mean, we saw how useful that EMP was when those High Templar kept dropping out earlier today in their series, and they kept getting EMP'd the second they dropped out of the War Prism. Like, it was sick. But range liberators in high enough number, just as much of a problem for the High Templar to engage into as the ghosts. Mm-hmm. So I'll try and hide from the revelation. Is Seither an impossible task. It's almost impossible to hide everything from that, man. But range lib's going to start working their way in, so do little bits of harassment here and there on the mineral lines. Probe, though, is up front. He's in charge. He's starting the 2nd Robo transition into Disruptors and Colossi. And Probe has got that forward position. So now I think it's going to be hard for Seither to move out on the map. You've got to try to sneak something out there, but how do you get there?
Probe. So losing way too many probes here to this Liberator. He stacks the probes, but they keep spreading out again on the mineral line. A little bit of miscontrol there from Probe, and as a result, loses 9 of them.
Double drop on the north. That's going to be the follow-up pressure on that base. So, yeah, I mean, the importance of this pressure is he needs to pull Probe away so that Seither can get position on the map. Whenever Seither's sieged up, Probe can't break him. Like, this is a lot of range libs. 8 Liberators out here. 28 Marauders, 19 Marines. Like, these Liberators are the key. But one mess up where those Stalkers blink forward and take out 4 or 5 libs, and suddenly Seither's army becomes, like, less than half as powerful.
Oh, we've got some charge lots hitting in from this north-hand side, but what a beautifully placed bunker here on front of that CC, that 5th command center. It's like a little bit of a drop play there from Seither, gets deflected by Probe's army.
Forced the recall.
Yeah, it did force a recall.
And look at this, now he pushes down the south side. This is what Seither did. Remember on this map previously when they played, where he forces the recall and then he starts to do his 2-pronged pushes. So that drop is actually still up on the north side of the map, ready to come back in. Now he's had a chance to siege up his Liberators. Tempests are nowhere near the field yet. They're not even started. The tech isn't even started. These libs are sieged up, but actually there's only 4 libs down here. Where are the rest? They're all sitting at the natural. This is only a small section of Seither's army.
And they're also very concentrated on the part of the ramp where Probe can actually circumnavigate the liberation zones completely here and still cause a problem for Seither's push. Oh, there's a drop attempt here into the main base. Disruptor gets rid of part of that drop already by itself, and it does go down. Probe can now get onto these medevacs, but he also wants to engage the main army here of Seither. That War Prisoner's got some high tempo in it. They're not getting their storms off. That one does.
Yeah, the Liberators will trade out, but a bit of a friendly firestorm there. The drop in the main doing some damage. The Liberator count is now being rebuilt here for Seither, but that's definitely the one thing he's been low on. He's always been heavy on the bio, low on the Liberators throughout this series, and definitely needs to get some more threat out on the map. You know, this went okay for Seither. Denied a 5th base, got a little bit of damage done here and there, but the moment he pulls back into his shell, once again, there's an observer staring at his army that sees everything. The revelation goes down, and suddenly Probe knows where everything is. There's no threat. Probe can go back out, find position, except now he's got Disruptors building out of 3 robos as well.
Dude, this is very TY that we're seeing out of Seither here, and I love it. He's getting a 2nd armory to get the ship upgrades as well as plating for those Liberators. So they are going to hit super hard here. I love double upgrades in the late game for Terran.
Yeah, you get +3 on those things. They wreck, man. I think they even one-shot High Templar, if I remember correctly. And they can definitely get to the point where they 2-shot Stalkers once they get +3.
They have to be alive, though.
Oh, that's really tough. These Liberators, they're the most important part of this army. You can't afford to lose them like that. There's a lot of orbitals up, so there's tons of money. Like, Seither can remax, Seither can hang on. But it's mostly bio, and bio is fragile. The moment those libs go down, the bio cannot do its job. So right now, Probe is looking for an angle, and range Liberator going to be very nice. Another 6 Probe kills. Storms coming down here. That planetary is isolated. Great play by Probe.
Wow, that's a lovely storm there on that bio. Ghost coming forward, but not enough energy for an EMP on one of them. 2 of them, actually 3 of them have got EMPs here. But the Disruptor could potentially hit the Ghosts. Just whiffs that purification over, but there's more where that came from. Blinking forward, getting on top of these Liberators. The Liberators trying to use the terrain to their advantage, and for the most part it works out. But Probe still with a lot of army here. Seither needs to take this very, very seriously.
Yeah, 5 Liberators building at a time now. Finally, 2 reactors and a Tech Lab starport, all pumping libs. And that's the key here for Seither. As long as Seither has more libs, these Stalkers are trading inefficiently each time. The libs are taking these incredible trades. EMP's going down. The Disruptor shots finally find a couple of targets there.
2 of them are Ghosts.
Ghosts low on energy.
Yeah, Seither doesn't have too much Ghost energy here. He's got a couple EMPs available, and Probe has a lot of full shield charge lots here. Just waiting for the Liberator count to get a little bit lower so that he can just collapse from both angles. Seither's starting to get nukes now. He's going to try doing some nuclear missile harassment.
That's going to be
Get
really
your
nice.
rad suits on, Pig.
3-3 is going to catch up now for the Terran player, as well as those upgrades are kicking in the next 10 seconds. This bio run by on the south side going to do a good job. In the north side, an engagement. The army does pull back. A couple of Liberators and Ghosts go down, though. You've got to be so careful to not get caught unsieged as Seither. And oh my lord, a casual 46 Zealot counterattack. Meanwhile, DT's on the south side, but a quick reaction and a scan. He's going to keep that threat there. Probes are going to be going down. Planetary Fortress, though, cannot stand up to that number of units. The Liberator's caught in the open! Oh no! And the Disruptors zone out the bio completely. In the midst of the chaos, the pressure, Probe finally finds the engagement he's been looking for all this time. Seither does manage to snipe a base on the south. He's launching a nuke that's going to harass this base as well. I mean, it's not without some wins for Seither. It's just the wins for Probe are so much bigger. They're more impactful. There's so few high-tech units left for the Terran. This Zealot counter still hasn't been stopped.
Charge Lot's still alive. They've killed a Planetary and they're not stopping there. They're going down the throat of Seither here, cutting into that natural. 7 more SCVs going down. This Planetary to the north as well. Probe pulls back and picks that off. Seither's economy is dismal right now. He's running on fumes here. The bank is non-existent. Meanwhile, the Protoss is enjoying a 3k mineral bank with nearly 1.5 gas. That is so much money here for the Protoss. He is large and in charge, Pig. I don't see Probe losing this one.
Not anymore, nuh-uh. There's definitely a few opportunities for Seither in this game, but whenever Probe's in control in this position, he just doesn't seem to give anything up. I mean, we've seen him win from this forward position with his army, even when down in the economy all game, but now up 50 supply, DT's being added in. Oh, he's all over it, man.
That's it. Like a rash all over this Terran. The Ranged Liberators, they're unsieging. Oopsie daisy, he's going to lose one here. Oh,
Chickenpox Protoss. He's definitely all over this map, man. The DT's having a scan for them even. Oh, really bad position here for Seither. The Planetary in the bottom right gives him a tiny fragment of hope. But Tempests are already on the way, Maynard. We saw what they did last time against Seither.
Yeah. Slowly but surely he's getting a bit more of a mineral bank up. These DTs are being very annoying. Probe is denying Seither the ability to get a turret down here. And Seither doesn't want to keep burning scans on them either. So, you know, he wants to mill right now. He wants to get those minerals back. And these Zealots get another 14 SCVs. 15, excuse me. And Seither's down to 23 workers. And you can meme about mules all you want, but that's still pretty damn bad for the Terran.
Yeah, at this point, it's just a matter of scrubbing the floor of Lost and Found with those Purification Novas until every little stain of Terran is completely erased from the map. And Probe's going to do it very methodically, a very organized fashion. Desperation, Liberator, harassment on the south side. But guess what? There's Tempest already out. There's still even a few Phoenix on the map as well. There's cannons going down everywhere. Probe is in absolute control of this map.
Certainly. In fact, the army supply of Seither is, all intents and purposes, pretty nice, but it's just that Protoss doesn't really have a... It's not going to slow down for a while, whereas the Terran is really hitting a stopper. You can see he's only affording a few units at once. He's not going to be able to max out by the looks of things. Protoss is maxed out, amassing a bank and just continuing to do free damage with these Purification Novas. The Phoenix is denying these Liberators, which are very expensive, by the way, and the less Liberators Seither has, the less chance he has of engaging Probe's army ever.
Kind of hilarious to watch those Phoenix do almost no damage to the Liberators with +3 armor, but eventually it will go down. And Probe pushing in the front at the same time. Seither was so commanding in their first series, but this time around, as the games go longer, as the games calm down, it seems like Probe is gathering his breath. He's controlling the matches very well. And as these Tempests come in, that will be the killing blow, where they can force the Terran to engage into the Stalkers, into the Colossi. There's not enough Vikings to contest them. So this is it.
Yep.
Tempest's going to close this one out. I mean, if we think
probably
back...
in the process of typing #balance right now as the Tempest once again ruined his day.
Absolutely. I mean, he's in trubs. And I think it comes back to the fact that, yeah, he definitely... He struggles if he doesn't know which tech it is, I think, out of Probe, whether it's going to be Colossi Disruptors first or Storm first. Because I feel like in some of those games in the first series, he'd hit with his Ghosts and he'd just spread his bio out. And yeah, you'd hit a few Storms, but there's just be so much bio and it'd be such a commanding, powerful push, especially with the Widow Mines and the Libs, like on Acid Plant. But I feel like he sat back maybe a little bit too long on this map, and Probe just seemed to handle the chaotic situations a little bit better. He was so good at jumping on things. And then the moment Seither was unsieged, he kept losing his army. So potentially just losing track of where Probe was on the map a few times, not scanning enough around to see where the Blinkstalkers were. And definitely did get pushed back for a little bit too long. The Disruptors are going to come forward now.
Wow. Yeah, that ain't getting repaired. Oh, some really nice movers on the bio, and here we go. It's going to be the last engagement of the game, and the looks of things. Seither coming in with his last chance. Bit of a concave of bio, but a lot of gateway units here, and the Purification Nova is going to be off cooldown in a second. The Tempests are actually getting thinned out quite a bit here by the Vikings of Seither that he managed to amass. Probe getting pushed back to that hidden planetary.
Yeah, Probe's army is actually not having the best fight, and that just comes down to the fact that there was no Psystorm left in here, and no Zealots or Adepts, so not many tanking units. Hard, of course, to use Zealots or Adepts for these. Vikings landing against Disruptors, always one of the most humorous things to look at. Seither takes a Pyrrhic victory here. Forces Protoss to retreat, but is left with a battered economy, very few army units. Pretty much everybody is suffering the ravages of war on the Terran side, whereas the Protoss economy is booming. The DT's coming in.
He just scanned as well, and he has mainly planetaries. So these DTs are going to be a pretty bit of a problem for him here.
Oh no.
Oh no. Yeah, scans that DT. What about the other one that's on the high ground here, waiting for a mate? And yeah, I mean, yes, Seither took an engagement and the game's technically continuing here, but once again, we brought up the bank earlier and we have to remind you guys that Probe is absolutely going to win this game. He's just got way too much army supply, way too much minerals to be able to remake several armies here and just overwhelm Seither in game 2, bringing him to match point, Pig.
Ooh, not the way I expected this series to go. I knew Probe would bring out something a little bit stronger, maybe a little bit spicy, but he's been just playing straight up Protoss vs Terran, and he's been doing it splendidly. It all comes back, of course, to the early game. Remember, the sneaky Hellion drop. The Reaper was running around distracting Probe. The Hellions got fully unloaded in the main base. Almost instantly, Probe pulled those probes to the natural, as a skill which I feel like he's faster at pulling workers than anyone else. We saw him save himself against Mio Micah so many times yesterday and today with that exact same ability to run probes away from trouble. Not only that, he held position a probe in between two buildings so the Hellions couldn't give chase without stopping it. Cool. Kill the probe. I mean, it was fantastic play from Probe. He stopped what I thought was a super clever opening from Seither there and really should have caught him by surprise. But hats off to Probe there. Carried it through with the mid-game disruptor transition. Very cool to see.
Loving Disruptors, man. It's my favorite unit in the game, and it's really strong against Terrans that generally try to go bio tank. I mean, we didn't see tanks in that game from Seither, at least not in the later stages of the game, but it's just something you got to be on the top of, on your toes with as a bio player. Like, it's just it's so hard to deal with. You know, medevac pickup micro or just stimming and pulling back is going to be your best bet, but it's not the Disruptors on their own that are scary. It's when Disruptors have, like, you know, a Colossus or two behind them, or like, you know, a bunch of High Templar with them, or, you know, a bunch of Gateway units backing them up and keeping them alive, or, you know, warp prisons with speed and that sort of thing. It's when Disruptors are super scary. Exactly.
The combination threat, always very powerful there. And there were a few moments where Seither did some fantastic drops, some Liberator harassment, did pull his opponent home, but then it always came back to Probe's vision. In the end, Probe wasn't surprised by a lot. Zealots all over the map. There were observers sitting on the high ground, often spotting Seither's army. And when that wasn't there, there's Revelation, followed by Revelation, followed by Revelation. I'm sure Seither has a voice in the back of his head, kind of maybe saying some choice words about the Protoss map hacks with the Revelation and the little invisible observers seeing everything. But it's something where I think Seither does need to maybe get a missile turret further forward to stop these observers spying on his army. And maybe needs to just create some more threat on the map, even if he's not planning to commit to it. Just by moving kind of sections of your army around, it makes it much harder for the Protoss to keep tabs on everything, to land these Revelations, and it also gives you a good chance of catching those Oracles flying around the map. I don't think people necessarily always realize just how big of a momentum swing it can be. If you get rid of those Oracles early, the Protoss player is much more blind on the map. It's very difficult for them to make the right decisions.
So we're just having a bit of a... We're in the lobby for game number 3. Probe on match point. Seither still needs to win 3 games here to fight back and qualify in this one. So that's a big tall ask for Seither, considering how dominant Probe's been in the first 2 games. What do you think is Seither's plan here in game 3? If you were Seither, what do you do here to fight back against this guy?
Well, we're going into Catalyst on the next map. So what I would probably focus on is trying to do one of those 3 barracks pushes that he did earlier today. I think they worked out really well for him, whether he does it with a Raven, maybe even that old Cyclone Banshee, you know, the delayed Banshee. It was game 1 of their previous series where Seither opened up with a proxy barracks on this map. So Lots of different options open to the Terran player, but when you're down 0-2, it becomes scary. No matter what, psychologically, outside of the strategy, Seither just needs to say, look, I've got nothing to lose, everything to gain. I got to win this match to go through. I've got to win 3 games in a row. Let's start taking some risks. Let's play a really free-flowing style. Let's get out there. Let's be confident. Let's see if we can do this.
Well, let's see if he can fight back here. It's a tall order, but if anyone can, it'll be this guy in the top left, representing SYF. It is Seither.
And down here on the bottom right-hand side in the red, the Protoss player. He's Probe. Playing for Legacy ANZ and holding the Australian flag high. We're talking about proxy barracks builds. And this is indeed going to be that once more. So 16 proxy racks. Looks like a bit of a kitchen sink build coming out here. We'll see exactly how it goes down. Exact same scenario as last time. Let's see if Probe's response is as good as it was. Because remember, Probe's response was perfect last time. It was sick. Until the Banshee came in and surprised him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if that barracks actually just got spotted by like the standard Probe scouting path across the map? It's like, all right, buddy, you didn't plan this one too well, did you?
That'd be a bit of an unceremonious end to an all-right series. Well, we got our Probe here coming in for a scout, and he's going to see that double gas and a lack of production facilities and go, uh-oh. Put that Cybercore on the edge of that main. There we go. Yeah. Going to be going for the second gas as well. Probe, of course, looking for that factory, which is going to be the big tell that tells him he needs to get the expansion up and focus on the economy. If you don't see the factory, though, you will be a little bit worried. And so far, that factory is being hidden. Seither trying to hide it. Yeah, Seither's trying to hide it in the back of his back of his main base. And he's actually delayed it a bit as well. So that's part of the mind game. Seither purposefully slowed down his own tech just to freak Probe out. Finishes the wall off even earlier than he needed it as well. Once again, playing the information denial game. I love it. This is going to freak Probe out a little bit. Yeah, he's going to think there's something a little bit more horrifying than what's actually happening here from Seither. I mean, the Reaper is in here getting some Probe damage, nearly getting a second Probe kill there, just the one so far. And once that Stalker comes out, he's going to put an end to this shenaniganry. Oh, a follow-up scout here from Probe, but the full wall off is complete for Seither. So he's still going to be left guessing a little bit here.
And you'll notice the Nexus is way slower. Yeah, it's not down at all. So Probe's been tricked. He's going for the Robo, which is not nearly as good against this. You want to be expanding because guess what? Seither's already got the CC down. Yeah, he's got some tech, but it's not going to be like crazy fast. Seither just wants Probe to overreact, freak out, and there might be a delayed Banshee, but there's just as likely to be just a Raven, you know, something like that to clean up observers and just play an economic build. It's a delayed economy build, but as long as you force your opponent to overreact, it's all fine. So I think for Probe here, you want to try and realize there's no follow-up. And look at him, he's scouting desperately. He wants to see if there's a starport or a factory out on the map, but I think you've got to get a prism and just go straight across the map. And if you do that, you can punish Seither for this.
I agree. I was about to say that one of the coolest things that Probe can do here is like, yeah, his Nexus is being slowed down, but if he gets a Prism out and a handful of Stalkers, that's very, very hard for Seither to deal with in the early stages of the game when you only really have like a Cyclone and maybe a Marine or two at home. Yeah, he does have a Starport here making a medevac, and it looks like he's going to go for Cyclone drops, which is pretty cool. So this could potentially do a lot of damage as well from Seither's side, so it's kind of left guessing on what's going to actually happen here. Zealot still scouting around, looking for whatever he can. The Probe coming back into the natural of Seither, but there's no CC on the low ground. It's up on the high ground here. And Probe's, again, not going to see too much as Seither's building everything away from this wall in. Sees the medevac. Ooh, just.
There's going to be a Disruptor Bay coming out behind this. So either straight into Colossi or Disruptors for Probe. Going to be an interesting way of doing this. And still, Seither just adamant about hiding that information. Doesn't want to float that command center down until now. And the double Cyclone drop. The Liberator follow-up can do some damage for sure. Second, third gateway. Fourth gateway down as well here for Probe, who is still worried about a weird one-base delayed all-in. Probe is definitely, you know, a little bit paranoid, trying to just figure this one out. And Probe's going to go back into the natural. And he finally spots the expansion, whilst also having a couple of cheeky Cyclones to deal with.
Yeah, he's done all right so far, deflecting those cyclones. The earlier Immortal, just by accident being effective here, but those cyclones, just trying to be out of range here and pick off that Cyber Core, which would be a nice pickoff. Probe's not remaking it.
Yeah, he started remaking it.
Now he's remaking another one. He's like, oh, I'm going to lose that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense as well. Twilight goes down, and notice there's chrono boosting on probes for the Protoss. So Probe has realized now, because his probe went in, saw the natural, and he said, okay, you're not all inning me. So rather than producing out of these gateways, he's shifting gears and he's going back into the economy. But look at the worker count. Seither has gained a lead through this misinformation. The Liberator, even though it only gets a couple of kills there, even that is enough to slow down Probe's already diminished economy. So I like this play here. The Cyclone drop in the main comes in, grabs a single probe as well. Just cute little bits of harassment here from the Terran, and behind it, yeah, exactly what I expected. A third command center. So Seither's like, look, let's just throw Probe's build off, give him a much weirder, more uncomfortable opening, and then we'll just play the greedy game that I've played in game 1 and 2. The Observer sees it though. So Probe needs to just go straight for a third, make non-stop workers for a minute or two. Like, he cannot afford to delay. He has to desperately catch up on that economy right now. And he actually... Oh, he canceled his robotic support bay earlier, and now he's rebuilding it.
A little bit of indecisiveness here from Probe. Going to slow down that game plan a little bit. He is gunning towards that third Nexus, and we actually see that Seither not only saw the Observer, but managed to pick it off as well. So he knows that Probe knows that he knows.
He knows that he knows?
That's right.
But as long as he doesn't got your nose yet, then it's all going to be fine.
Oh my god. Okay, Dad. So I'm casting with my old man here. I'm like, I'm not supposed to see you till tonight. Why are you interrupting my work, dude? Just wait till I come to your house for dinner.
This is one of the last casts of the day, Maynard. You know, I start off these days and there's only one goal I have in mind, and it's to make you cringe a little bit. You know, I want to see a little bit of Maynard
accomplished,
dead inside. I want the life to have gone out of your eyes by the end of a day of casting together, man.
That made me cringe so hard my hair's curly. We have Colossus and Devil Forge coming from Probe, which I really love against Terran in general. Of course, Seither's done a really good job at being able to deal with Colossus historically in this any series against Probe. And he already has, the ability to get those starport units out as well. So the single Vikings floating around, picking up the Observer. It's just sort of patrolling here, waiting for a warp prism back at home. This Observer in the natural of Seither seeing a SCV transfer, and this Zealot even going to see the third CC float on over. Maybe even an SCV kill or two.
I mean, this is just. I feel like Seither's so far ahead, though, like in the numbers, right? Probe has got great vision. He's reacting really well. But it's just that opening. Like, this is what happens if you don't get across there with a prism off this delayed Nexus opening, and then being tricked so many times with it, kind of going 4 gateways because he thought there was another, like a different wave of all incoming. It's just so bad for you as the Protoss player. Like, these 4 Stalkers are going to try and harass. It's only 4 Stalkers. Okay, finally 3 more are joining up here. But this is already just not the most ideal scenario for Probe. Yeah, you've got some Colossi and Immortals out, but the numbers way in Seither's favor right now.
Seither is wearing the pants in this game. He's absolutely destroying Probe. Oh, wow. We got a shield battery here, keeping those Probes alive, but there's a lot of important tech back here, Pig, that the Cyclones could potentially pick off. And if he pulls the units over to defend the main base, then the third is under threat. Well, luckily, Seither's pulling back there.
Oh, nice blink. Is going to force the medevac into the corner. Of course, that'll be recalled. Wait. Terran don't have that spell. Medevac goes down. The Cyclones fall as well. And back to
recall.
Yeah, if Terran had recall, I'm sure a lot of people would be happy on the ladder. You get to lift your buildings and teleport. Oh, would be a bit unfair. But honestly, this
to be able to just send out a medevac full of like do like a 2-1-1 stim drop timing and then recall it. Damn, dude.
If only, man. But right now, Seither's large and in charge, dude. Disruptor gets a Marauder, and Seither says, hey, guess what? You don't have any splash damage left. He's just going to jump on it. Hungry Terran diving on top of this Protoss army. The Immortal Barriers both have been procced. Probe trying to get home. Zealot's being warped in to help buffer him. But now the tanks have sieged. There's Vikings in there as well. Seither's numbers just taking control of this game. And here we go. He says, I'm not down and out yet. I want to go through to another WCS tournament. I need to win a few games in a row. And this is the beginning of the comeback train. Seither steamrolls through Probe after the tricky mind game of an opening.
Got him. Not going to go down without a fight. Is Seither. We got ourselves a 2-1 with Probe still on match point, but Seither has a couple lives left available to him. So nicely done from him. He played Probe like a fiddle that game. Really made him dance to his tune. That was very, very nicely done.
Yeah, I mean, that's so good as well. I think a lot of people would try to just get like the delayed Nexus, the Robo before Nexus. But Seither was like, no, I'm going to like wall off with a third depot, make sure there's no follow-up scout. He even delayed floating his command center down to the natural. And that was why we saw Probe go, wait a second, what's going on? He kept scouting around the map. He couldn't find a proxy. He scouted into the natural. And I got to tell you, Probe had alarm bells ringing in his head. He said he still doesn't have an expansion, cancels his robotic support bay, starts 3 extra gateways. He's not even chrono boosting probes. And then finally he sees, oh, there's an expansion down and it's filled with workers. And Probe no doubt knew he was behind at that point. Tried to fight it back, but Seither's macro was on point. The Liberator kept poking in, the Cyclone redrop, and then just a very, very easy push over the front of Protoss's army. So, man, great play there. And I want to see more of it from Seither. The first 2 games in this series, Probe was in his comfort zone. We've got to stop him being in his comfort zone if you're Seither. You've got to try and put on more pressure. He's clearly favoring 3 command center styles, but he's got to get more damage done in the early game.
I'm with you there, man. It is nice to have a little bit of momentum there for Seither. Maybe he, off the back of that, can start to fight back in the series. I mean, he's already, getting a map is a good start. I would love for this to go to ace match and make it a real bum clencher of a game 5 between Seither and Probe. These guys are so closely matched. It's a wonderful series that we get to enjoy here. We promised you that the games are just going to get better and better. The series is going to get better and better as the day goes forward. And that is absolutely the case here. So wonderful showing this series. So we're getting into our next battlefield is going to be on Acid Plant between Probe and Seither. Another good map where Seither actually played very, very nicely against Probe. If you cast mind back, this is the game where, Probe was kind of neglecting his upgrades a little bit, and Seither nearly threw the game by overstimming his army with not too much health care for those units. Like that was here on Acid Plant.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine a few adjustments here and there, maybe an extra medevac or 2, and all of a sudden the game looks a lot better for him. And of course, before we go into this game, we haven't been showing enough love to our primary sponsor here, McDonald's. A lot of love for sponsoring StarCraft. There's a lot of people out there, Pig. All right. I've met old people around the world. Everyone around the world has a McDonald's somewhere, or most people around the world have a McDonald's somewhere. They're like, American McDonald's is the best. Germany McDonald's is the best. Spain McDonald's is the best. Korea McDonald's is the best. Do any of your McDonald's sponsor StarCraft too? Checkmate. Exactly.
GG no
McDonald's is the best. GG no re. That's it. Done. There's no argument anymore. So a lot of love to them for supporting our tournament for 2 years running. That's 2017 had McDonald's sponsorship as well, as where we had those beautiful lands down at the ESL studios. And it's wonderful to have GameStar running these tournaments online with beautiful production, making us look good, which is hard, by the way. So that's a lot of love to them. And of course, Insano for putting in the hard hours for all that observing. While we get to take breaks and put our feet up and have, grapes fed into us and wine poured down our gullets because we're on those hashtag esports dollars, Insano is in a cage somewhere with no air conditioning, just observing all day long. He has a pan under him because he can't go to the toilet. There's a taser behind him just in case he starts to fall asleep. That is how observers are treated. But he still fights on, and that's why I love him so much.
Passion, the dedication knows no bounds. And speaking of that passion and dedication, I think these players are going to be bringing it out here as we launch into the next game of this series. Looking to get the comeback train going, representing SYF Gaming, he is Seither.
Comeback. Is it real? This guy might have a thing or two to say about that. In the top left, representing Legacy ANZ, and still a match point, it's your boy, Probe.
It's your boy.
It's your boy.
Acid Plant. All right, so Probe. Is Probe going to say, I've got another game to spare, it's time to do something aggressive? Or are we going to see the same Probe we've been seeing throughout? Just let's perfect the macro play. Let's perfect the macro play. Oracles, Blink Stalkers, Force Fields, and don't forget the 4,000 stasis traps. That's the key ingredient, which he is not willing to compromise on. There's some people, they get a recipe, and they're like, oh, I don't need the garlic. I'll just add a bit of pepper instead. And you're like, what? You can't use pepper to substitute for garlic? Probe says the same thing about stasis traps. He's like, yeah, I could go DTs, I could go something else. we could try a different style. No way. He does not compromise on quality. It's all about the stasis traps for this young Protoss.
That's right. Stasis traps is part of the reason why we didn't get to see Maru in the grand finals of GSL vs. the World. That stats fella dispatched him. Put him down like a rabid dog.
Oh, yeah. It was, I think, a very surprising result when I watched that game, man. I was like, oh, wow. And then there was also another voice. There was the Terran voice in the back of my head that was kind of shouting a little bit and like banging its hands on the table and saying, "Stasis wards are too strong." But we've seen Terran players adjust in the week or two since then. We've seen a lot of really good adjustments. Seither, of course, earlier on today, just kept on always sending Marines out to absorb the stasis traps. We've seen Ravens mixed in more, and they haven't really been finding, their mark, even though Probe is adamant about them as part of his style. He seems to just really like them. And it was actually on this map where he adjusted his stasis trap placement, if you remember, a little bit. And he actually had a bit of the Terran army back up into one because it was in such an unexpected location. So definitely there's room to change it up, similar to Widowmine placement.
I'm going to Probe coming in here, having a look at that natural. Doesn't get too much information, though. The Reaper gets rid of it, dispatches it with extreme prejudice. Stargate opening here from Probe, so pretty regular stuff from his side of the field. And there was a gas first here from Seither, so he's going into a Widowmine bio opening, which is all pretty regular stuff as well. Nothing really to talk about in the early stages of this game. It's all so, we've seen it all before. There's this pretty standard TVP opening against a pretty standard PVT opening. But, when you're talking about adjustments to stasis wards, I think Seither is actually one of the best players for that, like for the reason you mentioned. Is he always has a Marine leading his pack when he's attacking into a guy that opened oracles. And he doesn't get caught by stasis wards very much at all. Like he got caught once or twice, but it was hardly game ending or really game changing or defining at all when it happened.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to see Widowmines on the way here for Seither, kind of placing them, trying to get them out there in those unpredictable locations. And I think we've already got, so one Widowmine on either side. So kind of putting two Widowmines out there, really looking for the catch on those oracles. So I like this adjustment. A guy is going to play 3 Oracle. This isn't just one random Oracle. You've got so many opportunities to catch these flying units. And right now, that Oracle is on a direct path to just barely dodge it. I think it's just barely going to go past. Yeah, he actually adjusts it, goes north a little. But you know what? On the way out, often players do end up losing that. Reaper does go down on the other side of the map. That's going to be the end of Seither's scouting for now. Oracle comes in, drops a Revelation, and leaves, right? Yeah, same thing every game, right? Oh, no. It's looking around.
I think wow, he's being very bold with this Oracle here. He really wants to see that starport, and he will. And Seither actually is going for Banshees for realsies this time. Not much point canceling it now.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to at least let one get out there.
I like that he tagged it. It's like, you're not going to cancel that stuff on me again, good sir.
Yeah, now that Banshee 100% will come out. We'll just chill for now. And the thing is, if you're kind of wily with your Banshees, you can always find something with them, right? You can always force a response. Already, a shield battery in the main base. Probe doesn't want to lose like he did on Catalyst earlier today, where he was like, nah, Oracles and Phoenix will be fine. And then, the Banshee comes in while he's defending the Cyclone push, loses a casual 20 workers and a ton of mining time, and ends up just getting stomped in that game. So he's going to be a lot safer against it this time. And I think just a 2 Banshee commitment, as long as you're very conservative with them, is always an okay way to play. Let's just see how calm and collected Seither is in doing that. Already getting a Marine tank mine push on the north side of the map as well. So, ooh, I actually love this push so much. This is such a great way to play this. Look at the stasis trap, though, from Probe. That might come into play big here. Probe doesn't realize where the army is.
Because that's where the tanks want to go.
Oh. Yeah, he might actually tuck them in there and get wrecked by the stasis. Here we go. Banshee's coming in the back of the natural, though. It's going to start to kill a couple of probes there. Damage is going down. Phoenix and Oracles are going to go up there and take that out. But here we go. The siege tank did not move to the stasis trap. Widowmines and Marines trying to work on this. Another Banshee comes in. It's cloaking and heading towards the main base. I don't think this is enough units to take out this base.
Oh, that drag actually hits all the bio. The bio is heavily damaged here from the splash damage of that Widowmine.
Good hold here by Probe. Banshee comes in and finds nothing this time around. Ooh, that's a great start to this game for Probe. I mean, Seither is even in workers as a third finish, so it's not bad economically. It's just the fact that how do you get out of your base now? As Seither, you've just got Stim started. You've got 1 tank and 2 Marines. This is not an army that's very frightening. This is a very, very weak army. And it's going to be that way for quite a while longer. So Seither's kind of just got to camp for a little bit. And if Probe is smart, which we know he is, he's going to chrono probes, make double upgrades, and take absolute map control. So for Seither to come back in this game, it's going to take a lot of patience, and he really has to be very careful when he moves out on the map.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. He needs to chill. And things like ghosts are a good way. Getting siege tanks up and trying to hold on to this third, like strengthen your defenses so any kind of attack into that third base is going to be inefficient for Probe, is going to be the way for Probe for Seither to take the lead at the moment, because he certainly doesn't have it right now. Probe is so confident. He's got double forge back at home. That's being chrono boosted. Charges on the way. Everything you could possibly want. Anything your little Protoss heart desires, he is starting to get it. And that robotics facility is coming down as well. So he's going to start going into a different tech path here, getting out of that Stalker phase into the Charge Lot phase.
We are going to be seeing the build-up continue here for both players. As long as he can defend the third side, Seither does have a good economy. Stalker's going to come forward and grab a couple of pickoffs, a couple of SCVs. Not bad. Zealots already working their way down the left-hand side. Those small Zealot counterattacks been a big problem for Seither throughout this game. And now we see Probe with so much control, he's even building pylons on the map as well. Ghosts already hitting the field here. The Colossus Bay and the second robotics are coming up here for Probe. So going to be going straight into the disruptors. Not going to be opening the fast storm this time around. And that is the better way to play against the fast ghosts. So I think the tech choice kind of goes to the advantage of the Protoss player right now as well.
Definitely favoring Probe in pretty much every respect at the moment. This Zealot just walking on in. It doesn't even have charge. It's just like, hello, SCV. Whap, whap, whap. Gets one there, and down it goes. Sees the Ghost as well, which is a nice spot for Probe. Sort of like a caveat to also going for a little walk into that natural. The Stalkers see that siege tank, and they're like, don't want none of that. Going to get on out of here. Do you think Colossus here from Probe? I think Colossus here from Probe.
I think he might open a bit of both. So I think we might see 2 disruptors into Colossi and then more disruptors. We'll have to wait and see, of course. At this point, it's just pure speculation, as both are very solid, strong choices.
Yeah.
There are a few sentries out as well, which are going to be nice. Seither starting to push through the left-hand side of the map. Right now, it's just a small number of charge zealots.
Ooh, Probe supply box.
Ooh, yeah, no high-tech units on the way out just yet. It's going to have to be raw gateway. Seither's actually got a very impressive supply. If he can land the EMPs, that's going to be huge. A couple of good EMPs land on the sentries, but Guardian Shield's good. Still, a lot of shields on these Stalkers. The choke point is strong. The force fields, though.
Wow.
Very nice force fields, splitting those units up. The tanks, though, dishing out the hurt from the back, or the siege tank, as I should say. The Widow Mines are back there, ready for when those units charge forward. But for now, Probe has managed to buy time. Disruptors are on the way. There's a Zealot flank preparing itself on the left-hand side. And I think he might be ready to pounce on it with one more warp in. Maybe not even wait for the disruptors, but just go for it. Because this is a very scary location, and you really want to remove Terran from here before they're able to pick away at you.
And now that the Liberators are here as well, it's just strengthening this siege location and this choke point for the Terran. Liberators setting up slowly but surely here. The siege tank's getting some free damage on those Zealots. The disruptors are here now. And these charge lots are actually catching some of those reinforcements. That's very nice for Probe. Gets the Widow Mines as well. Any bit of damage you can do with this Purification Nova is going to help Probe out. Also, these Zealots are just getting into the natural. See the drop in the hammer here, and he goes, but there's nice force fields, keeping a lot of that bio at bay.
Yeah, great force fields there, but the Liberators in the tank kind of adding that damage from behind. He does take a disruptor shot, but it doesn't do that much. But the Zealots are on the third and his natural at the same time. Seither getting his economy massacred behind this. He needs to win with this fight, but he's not quite able to do it. He has to pick up and pull back. The third has been ravaged. The natural has taken huge damage. Oh, no.
Oh, I think Seither might have just ended this game for himself there. Those medevacs going over the top of that gateway ball, and the Stalkers are just plucking them out of the sky. And I think that's going to be it. Probe is going to qualify for Montreal once again. He has returned. Our Protoss hero from Australia is going to be representing us one more time overseas for the 2018 season. We're all a little bit worried, man. We're like, does Probe still have any more? It turns out the answer is yes. Pleased to report that. Eliminating Seither, who was to me an overwhelming favorite to come out of this, with Hut being like a close second. and Hut ended up being on top. So Hut and Probe are actually going to face off for the first place prize here, which is $3,000. Both of them confirmed at least 2,100, and both going to be on a seat on a plane to go to Montreal, one of the most beautiful cities in the whole world, for some delicious StarCraft for the last shot at some WCS points and some more money here in 2018. I like it.
It's good to have you bringing a little bit of class here to the broadcast as well, Maynard, as I'd just be like, Montreal. But you know what?
Montreal.
I'll learn to say it your way before I go and insult all of the Quebecian people. But enough butchering of people's places, names, and words aside. Honestly, that was sick. Pro played that so well, dude. That was great. I think he adjusted, right, from the previous series. He actually kind of just seemed to have a little bit more of a handle on things. And I think the little adjustments, right? That game, the Oracle comes in, rather than just doing this kind of like lazy drop a revelation, fly away. He went in, he went around, he was looking for Widow Mines, looking for threats. There wasn't really any threat. He went full loop, revelated the starport, knew exactly what was coming out. And that small thing allowed him to take control of that game. From there, shield batteries in the mineral lines, the Phoenix and the Oracles on the Banshees, the jump on the Siege Tank Marine Widow Mine push. From there, Probe was in control of that game. And even though there was a moment where it looked scary while he was dealing with that push, that's because Probe was investing in so many things to put himself even further ahead in that game. He had the 4th base. He had the 2-2 upgrades on the way. He had the Zealot counterattacks, which of course ended up gutting Seither's economy. So hats off to Probe for adjusting after the first series where he did get annihilated. And now Probe does go through. So I'm excited to see him back there on the international stage. Good to see his practice has been playing off. Next up is going to be our last series of the day, Maynard. It's going to be that grand final of Hut versus Probe. Of course, Hut has not lost a single series today. He's actually only dropped like 1 or 2 maps much earlier in the tournament.
God.
So he gets that
3-0 over Seither is so huge. I never would have expected that.
It's insane. And he gets that 1-0 advantage as a result of it. So essentially, Hut only needs to win 2 maps. Probe will need to win 3. This is, of course, the final match. Both are going through to Montreal, but there's about $900 worth of money on the line, difference between first and second place, as well as some WCS points.
Yeah, it's pretty huge. I'm very, very excited to see who wins the grand prize. But, you know, to me, it was all about who is going to Montreal, and now we know. Seither, unfortunately, not going to have a repeat showing. He was the guy that was also, you know, along with Probe, it was Mr. Consistency. It was him and Seither. Every single WCS stop has seen that, you know, over and over again. Probe has been to so many WCSs that I've lost count. I think it's like maybe 5 or 6 at this point. He just keeps qualifying for. Like, he's been to so many. He went to a lot of international gigs. And there's like a personal side note. Probe also wasn't a full-time StarCraft 2 player for most of his career. He was qualifying while still being a student, which was really impressive. And it was a little bit disheartening to see that, you know, he was starting to lose a lot of that momentum after switching to full-time, which he is right now. So I'm extra, you know, that aside, I'm extra happy for Probe. And I hope you guys send him some love as well, considering that that training in Korea is clearly working out for him. He's got his head in the game, and he is practicing hard and is absolutely kicking ass and taking names. So congratulations and well earned to Probe. Awesome. I look forward to see if Hut or Probe can win that extra $900 dues.
Yeah, so we'll get that grand final set up right now, guys. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with the grand finals.